Let's get into the chaos. Alright, satisfying moments in video games. I'm gonna rank them from D, which is like, it's barely satisfying, to S, the most satisfying. Some of these moments are gonna be specific, and others are gonna be a more broad topic. But with that being said, let's just start with Kirby right here. What's satisfying here? Inhaling and spitting out a whole bunch of stars at once. I'm gonna give this a C ranking. Basically in the middle, I like finding a way to inhale all these stars at once and unleash them for lots of damage. Alright, now we got a broad topic. This is going to be sniping. This applies to basically any game that has this feature in it. This is going to go straight into S. I mean, it actually depends on how fast you're moving, how fast the opponent's moving, how long you take to actually aim to snipe them. If we're talking about like a basic, like you're just standing there and the opponent's like not looking, that's gonna be like C tier. But you know, if we're talking about fast sniping, straight S tier. Now in a similar boat, we got hitting someone with the green shell in Mario Kart. These items don't lock on like red shells do, so if you want to hit someone, you have to actually line your cart in the right direction and then you hit your opponent. Now you can also get lucky and hit it off of a wall, and I think that's just a little less satisfying, but I don't think it's enough to change the tier. So just hitting someone with a green shell in Mario Kart, I will give it a B ranking. Feels very good to hit, but it doesn't have that much of an impact and doesn't really get you that far in the race. I'm also going to mention directly hitting with banana peels and bombs. Not something you typically do, but when you do it, feels just as good as hitting a green shell. Avoiding a blue shell. Normally you can't escape these things, but if you find a way to get out of getting hit by one, you feel like you already won the race, I'm gonna get an A rank. Last minute comeback or last minute victories are some of the most hyped things you can experience in a video game. The tension is on, like you just in a situation where you thought for sure that you were going to lose, but then something changes and now you realize I don't have to lose this. I can actually win. That pressure that you feel just dawns on you. And now your desire to win kicks in tenfold. And you do everything in your power to ensure that your victory can still happen in this moment. Getting a victory from all that tension, all that anticipation, definitely one of the best feelings. Last minute comeback victories, gonna get an S rank. Similar to that, making it to the next round in an elimination game. This isn't going to go into S tier, but an A rank seems to fit because, you know, you feel the tension lifts off, but it's not over yet. You just made it to the next round. Winning as an imposter in Among Us. Definitely an S tier. As long as you're playing with competent people, it feels very rewarding to outsmart everyone and be able to eliminate everyone on board. Solving a puzzle, it can either be D rank or an S rank, not really much in between. Either you solve the puzzle after a really long time and you overlook something very simple and you're just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna leave this over, but oh my god, I could have finished that a long time ago. Or it's a very challenging puzzle and solving it makes you feel very smart and you just feel like you have a 300 IQ. Defeating a lot of enemies at once, probably gonna be a B rank. Can be a little more satisfying or a little less satisfying depending on how good the game makes you feel about defeating the enemies and like how strong your hits are. If it makes you feel more powerful, it can rise up to an A rank, but if it makes you just feel like the enemies are weak or like the game's just too easy, then it can be like a C rank. Finally beating a boss that you were struggling with. I'm talking about a boss that just made you stop playing the game for a while. You had to come back a few times and think of a different strategy before you finally defeated them. It's probably gotta be an A rank. As long as you didn't like cheese the fight, like, you know, hide in a corner or something, exploit the game, like exploit a mechanic so that it becomes no challenge to you at all. And because that's just not satisfying at all, really. Well, maybe, because if you felt the boss was kind of cheating you in the first place, then doing like a cheap way to feed him back might actually feel very satisfying. But actually being able to properly defeat the boss with your skills after having a hard time beating them, definitely an A rank feeling. Becoming overpowered or invincible. This normally happens as like a power up. A lot of games do it by giving you invincibility. And then there's other games that just upgrade, and by the end of the game your upgrades are so strong that like nothing can even affect you. Like none of the normal enemies are even a challenge to you. This is an S tier feeling because as long as the game does it right, which a lot of them do, I'm talking about like the game actually progresses in a good way to make you feel like you've earned that power. Not that the game just kind of like hands it over to you randomly, or just has the invincibility just basically be like an easy mode. Like you just turn it on, you're struggling, just like, well, let me just make everything easy so I just don't have to deal with this challenge. But properly building up all your power so that previous enemies are not a challenge to you anymore, previous obstacles, all that stuff, it's very incredible to feel, because all that stuff you work towards, it feels like it actually meant something. You get to show off all the power you work towards and feel like you're in control of the game. And that same thing goes for the brief invincibility power-ups, except for, you're not walking towards it really. But, you feel in control, you feel very powerful, you get to like show off like the enemies, you bully the enemies now, and that's an S tier feeling. Beating the main campaign of a game. In general, I would say this is a C rank feeling, because while it feels good to reach your goal, in general, you would always want to like prolong the conclusion as long as possible. You want to play through the game, and a lot of your best moments come from playing the game, obviously, unless the game is heavily story focused, in which case I would probably actually move it up a rank, because finally seeing the results of all the events, all of the events unfolding would be more satisfying than just beating, like, I would say like a Mario game, the 2D Mario games where there's like no story, you just go through the levels, and then once you complete that, you made it to your goal. There's not much else to do. I mean, you do unlock a post-game stuff usually, like the bonus worlds, which can boost the game up depending on like how much you actually unlocked afterwards. Another thing that can boost the completion of a game's campaign is how difficult it is. If you have a very challenging game, it'll feel way more rewarding to actually complete it. So in those cases, like a lot of post-game content unlocked, a challenging game, or if there's a good climatic story, it would be a B rank. Other than that, C rank.